The topic of discussion today is related to the body, which since no one else is on, I feel like it's because this is like perfect for you. So I was wanting you to, while we have this space, to share a little bit about a little bit about what it is that you do related to the body and how that's related to the next paradigm and to the new earth, and how we're going to be experiencing and playing and working together and working with ourselves.
Great. Like you said, destiny. It is destiny that we're here together talking about the body, because the body is my specialty, or rather the foundation of the body is my specialty as far as grounding the earth chakra is concerned, as far as putting your feet on the ground. For the people that are watching, if anybody is watching, that don't know my work, I teach dynamic pelvic floor exercises. So I'm a pelvic floor strength educator. So I teach people how to move inside their body while standing still. So we're all here with this higher consciousness, and we're understanding our different psychic gifts, and we're all coming together as a unified field of humanity. But actually, most of you are doing it in the spirit world. You're doing it in your head. You're living in your head. You actually don't live in your body. If you don't move your pelvic floor muscles, which happen to be the largest muscle mass in the skeletal system, if you can't move your internal muscles without external movement, you're not embodied. You might be in spirit, you might be in your head, but you don't know there is a primal powerhouse, a storage of energy in your pelvis. So the Chinese, they call it the lower danjian. If you fight, if you're a fighter, a martial artist, you want to fight from your lower danjian, which actually, for men, it's really around the prostate, and for women, it's around the cervix. So I teach women and men, I teach men post-radical prostatectomy or who are severely incontinent. But I shy away from teaching men because the exercise moving the front of the pelvic floor makes you incredibly randy. And this is not a cool way to be teaching if a man is going to have an erection. But if there's a group of men, or if somebody's in a serious, post-radical prostatectomy or, premature ejaculation or erectile dysfunction, then if I have empathy for them, and if they're not going to be flirting with me, then I will happily teach men. But I teach mainly women how to move the front, the middle, and the back of the pelvic floor basket with no external movement, how to individuate the left and the right quadrants of the pelvic floor basket. I teach women how to move 3 independent sections of the vaginal chamber, how to perform advanced crossway squeezes and flexes, and how to practice vaginal weightlifting techniques. But what I want people to understand about this pelvic floor, so this is where you awaken the sexual energy. It's where you awaken the Kundalini. But my birthright is to eradicate the largest epidemic in the world. And I can do it with your help. If you listen and watch, I can, with your help, eradicate the largest epidemic on the planet. And what is that? It's called incontinence. So maybe you're young, although I do teach girls as young as 9 and 16 that have to wear padding on the netball court because they wet themselves running around the netball court because they have no knowledge about the pelvic floor and because they live in their head all of the time. So this is a big problem. And the other big problem is the shame, the taboo, the trauma, the over-sexualization of the pelvic floor muscles, the over-sexualization of saying the word vagina, rectum, anus. People want to cover their eyes and close their ears because I spoke about something in your anatomy, which actually is the most powerful part of your body. So before I continue, I want the viewers to understand I'm practically a nun, right? I work in selfless service for humanity to eradicate the largest epidemic on the globe. So you don't get an internal examination. We don't look at our private parts. We don't look at our vagina. We don't look at our penis. I can tell you on the screen right now how to perform over 20 internal exercises. And people will say, but how? Well, I just do it. I just tell you how it feels, what to do. And you need to, I know when you feel it, because if I can see you, you say, no, 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 no. And then suddenly the penny drops and you start to go, I think I can feel it because I can help you reconnect the nervous system of your brain to the nervous system of your pelvic floor muscles with conscious attention, listening to what I say and doing what I say. I can teach you the most incredible, incredible power that you have in your body, like awakening the Kundalini. So getting back to me being practically a nun, I'm not a Tantra teacher, although I am widely read on Tantra and sexual magic in India, China, and the West, but who cares about the West? We give people 50 ways to do fellatio. We do not even talk about being inside your body. So to make it clear, to center, in 2009, I wrote a book about the Jade Egg and dynamic pelvic floor exercises because I learned on my journey how to move over 20 internal muscles inside my body to eradicate incontinence, to give you great confidence, great personal power, and actually the most spiritual power that you can have in your body by awakening the Kundalini and the Ching Chi and storing it in the lower Dantian. But people are afraid because they don't want to say about the reproductive organs. You say anus and you think about some phantasmagorical, awful situation. You think about anal sex, or you think about excrement, or you cannot think of it, of your body in a pure, divine way, because it's an amazing machine that has way more power than you ever experienced. I can teach people how to get the Ching Chi, to get goosebumps all throughout the body, simply by moving the pelvic floor muscles, front, middle, back, and putting it in an orbit around the body that goes male, female, male up the spine, female down the front channel. This is called the microcosmic orbit. It's a central channel that goes around the body. Everything begins and ends at a place that you may or may not know. It's called the perineum, which is not the vagina, it's not the rectum, but it's a hard, muscular, fibrous, tendinous tissue in the middle of your body. So it's not the testes, it's not the rectum, it's the hard muscle where you sit on a bicycle seat. Everything begins and ends there, which we call, the Taoists, the Chinese call, the mortal gate. This is where you should go out when you die, the perineum. Okay, so in China, we do the microcosmic orbit around male, female, male, female, and we increase exponentially the personal power in our body. And this microcosmic orbit, once you get it moving, it feeds what we call the meridians. And the meridians are what the acupuncturists put the needles into. So through dynamic pelvic floor exercises, you not only eradicate the largest epidemic in the world, but because this is a spiritual channel, we can talk about how nuns and monks use this in China, microcosmic orbit, to feed the meridians. So they get incredible personal power to feed the meridians, and you get goosebumps. The chi, you get goosebumps. It's like when you're awestruck on a full moon night, looking at the ocean or the trees or the wind catches you in a certain way, and you're overcome with bliss. You get this bliss. You get this blissful feeling. Actually, you can do it. See, you can do it in 3 breaths when you know how. It's called a full body orgasm, right? So this is highest practice. And then in India, in East India, they do the same. It's like what we talked about yesterday, Destiny, with 100 monkeys. In India, lo and behold, at the same time, they're learning about the chakras, the 7 chakras. There's more, actually. And the Shushumna, that's my dog moving, moving the tripod. He gets so jealous when I don't give him all of my attention. Outside. Anyway, in East India, people are learning through, the gurus are learning through dun, 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 dynamic pelvic floor exercises, how to awaken the Kundalini and to shoot it through the Sushumna and to break through the cerebral cortex and to merge with the God force. Why? For enlightenment. So in East India, they say dynamic pelvic floor exercises awaken the Kundalini for enlightenment. In traditional practice, will go straight through the central channel Sushumna, break through the cerebral cortex and merge with the God force. And if you do it wrong, you should die. Which you won't die. Maybe in olden times you would die. But in this state of consciousness, it's all right. But you might go crazy. You might go crazy. It's true. If you ever heard people say, don't awaken the Kundalini unless you have an enlightened master, because you could go mental. 100%, it's true. You could go mental. Because when you awaken the Kundalini, everything that you are becomes magnified 1,000-fold, and it continues more magnification and more magnification until the day that you're enlightened, right? Which hopefully is today, or to the day that you die, which hopefully is never. Nobody's never born and nobody ever dies, but that's a digression. So yes, it will drive you crazy, because everything that you are, when you have lots of personal power, you laugh harder, you get angrier. If you don't, any neurosis and any psychosis in your being will become 1,000-fold bigger. Because Kundalini is so pure, it burns out all the dross. It burns out all the dross. So it wants to purify your being very, very fast. So any psychosis and any neurosis that you have, it also becomes more powerful. That's why they say you become crazy. But there is an avenue to be secure that you won't be crazy. And the rule is, there's 3 rules actually. The first rule is to have a kind and loving heart. Then you'll be fine, totally fine. The second rule is be at one with Mother Nature. Stare at the flower, at the scenery, at the ocean, at the chicken, at the animals. Be filled. Stare and be at one with Mother Nature. And the third rule is, if you're lucky enough, have lots and lots and lots of sex. But I'm celibate, so right now that doesn't happen to me. But if you're fortunate enough to be in a relationship that supports your greatest benefits, that supports you, have lots and lots of sex. But for men, without ejaculation. But that's another digression. So let's reset and refocus. So I'm talking now about the Kundalini, so you understand a snippet about the truth of that. And in China, like the 100 Monkeys Destiny, they're doing the same thing. But as I said before, it's in this orbit, in this microcosmic orbit. Because in China, they say, we can have enlightenment, but we want it in the body. So we want enlightenment in the body. And East India says, we want enlightenment and merging with the God force. But both things are so similar. And the power is absolutely the same. But ordinary people do not understand. So I do not always talk about this unless people are ready for the information. But I tell you something. The largest epidemic on the planet is incontinence. Okay? And it is eradicated through living in your body. It is eradicated through dynamic pelvic floor exercises. So if you see people, women over 50, here's what you should do. Flip a coin. Just toss a coin, because and then you should wonder, is it heads or tails for this woman over 50? Because that is the statistic of people being incontinent, which for those of you who don't know, is wetting yourself. Okay? It's also the main cause of people going to aged care. It's not dementia. It's actually incontinence. And I said it a million times already. We already have to deal with wrinkles as we age. Do we really want somebody changing our diaper in aged care because our family can't take care of us, because we wet ourselves so profusely? How does no sound? How does no sound? And there's only one thing you need, and it's education. And I can teach gracefully, charmingly, and you feel amazing when you learn. You say, wow, it's the best thing I ever learned in my body. Everybody says, wow, it's the best thing I ever learned in my body. That's because it's true. But the nuns and the monks, I tell you something else, why it's been so secret, because I'm a seeker, right? So I seek for 30 years because I'm an adept and a seeker. So I'm reading and learning and seeking. But you should not, before 2012, actually, it's not allowed, before I started teaching, it's not allowed to teach these practices to awaken the Kundalini and the Ching Chi, unless you teach to a seeker. So why? I'm nearly finished. Why is it not allowed? Okay, and then let me digress. Then I'm searching for 30 years and I'm a seeker, but I also have a big mouth, right? And I want to tell everybody. So I'm born with my big mouth yapping away. Listen to this, everybody. But the reason that ordinary people are not supposed to understand until this shifting in consciousness now is because if you make an ordinary person very, very powerful, and they're a villain or a pedophile or a rapist or a murderer, and we do have the dark and the light sides of spirits. If you make an ignoramus very powerful in their body, then they rape more, pillage more, pedophile more, murder more. So this is why the nuns and the monks and the gurus say, do not teach ordinary people these exercises, because you make people with no wisdom very powerful. But anyway, I talked to God some years ago, and it said to me, it's all right. Use your big mouth and eradicate, not the spiritualness for everybody, but eradicate the biggest epidemic on the planet. So that's my, and to sculpt and make lots of art and play the piano and sing, of course, as well. That's my journey. That's me.